So let's bring in NBC News law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter. He's been reporting all morning on this. Tom, I see your new note, but I'll let you tell us what you know about. You're learning much more about the suspect.
We sure are, and I'm going to fold in the reporting of my colleagues Julia Ainsley and Ken Delaney in here. First off, from an investigation standpoint, there is an active effort right now to investigate a potential improvised explosive device, so a homemade explosive device in plain English, found inside that individual's vehicle. There are at least two other potential, again, not confirmed, potential improvised explosive devices that were planted in the area. They're trying to determine, are those actual explosives? Could they have gone off? And are they tied to this particular individual? So they're looking at that as well. It's our understanding that this person had on his person a long gun as well as potentially another weapon. And the FBI now says on the record that this 42-year-old identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar, and the FBI has now identified him publicly, says that he's a U.S. citizen from Texas, that an ISIS flag was located, and I'm quoting now, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations. Now, that ISIS flag that they say was located in the vehicle is believed to be affixed to the hitch on the tailgate. So if you look at this photo and you look at where the license plate is, it's a Texas license plate on the back of it, there's a white pole that kind of comes up there, and there's a black material, some sort of potentially a flag, a garment, whatever it is, that might be, in fact, the flag that was there. So that's something that they're looking at, Kate. In addition, we're told that they're looking into this vehicle and where they got it from, but there's no indication at this point that the person who rented this vehicle, which may have been through an application, so there's kind of like an Airbnb for cars, that this individual rented out the car but may not have known this person's intentions. That's something that law enforcement will continue to look into. But again, the headlines here, the FBI now formally confirming the information that we broke several hours ago, that Shamsuddin Jabbar is in fact the person they believe is responsible for this deadly truck attack. We are told that shortly we will be, from multiple senior law enforcement officials, will hear that the death toll has risen, that this individual is a citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, and that that truck had an ISIS flag that was found in it. And that's what the FBI is investigating at this standpoint, from this at this hour, I should say, that multiple special agent bomb technicians from the FBI and other local law enforcement agencies. In this particular case, it would be the Louisiana State Police, the New Orleans Police Department, but typically the Louisiana State Police has a pretty robust presence on this. They'll take a look at some other devices, which we are reporting, according to 3 law enforcement officials briefed on the matter, at least 2 other devices that were planted in the vicinity that is obviously of high interest. This really changes a bit the security picture here, because if other devices were planted where they planted elsewhere in New Orleans, and obviously we're all acutely aware of the event that is happening tonight in that city, the Sugar Bowl, and what does it mean for that event? So a lot of questions here, Kate and Morgan, but I'll kind of send it back to you for any questions you might have as we continue to do our reporting and pour through this.
Tom, first off, excellent reporting, because for our viewers who are just turning in, you gave us 4 really big new nuggets that really changed the landscape of what we've been seeing. You talked about the flag, ISIS flag. 2 potential IEDs. 3, more details from the suspect. We now know he's 42-year-old U.S.-born citizen born in Texas. And 4, you mentioned that the death toll was expected to rise. On that note, Tom, and I want to go back to that flag that we're looking at here, you know, attached to the hitch of the bed of that truck there. That was really striking to me, because I also saw when looked at that photo, those 4 holes in the windshield, the back windshield there, that appear to be, you know, gunshot bullet holes that may have entered the vehicle. When you see that flag, does that give us any indication about whether or not he was working alone, or if he had known associates? And 2, Tom, do we have any, now that we have this name, do we have any indication of whether or not he'd had previous arrests, misdemeanors, felonies, anything in his record?
That's something that we're still pouring through with respect to what is referred to in law enforcement circles as suspect pedigree. Where do they come from? What's their date of birth? Do they have any active lawsuits for or against them? Do they have any sort of criminal history? That's information that we're still in the process of going through, and we'd like to do a lot of verification to get to that point. You're seeing a video of the immediate aftermath. There were, according to a video, I think that we're hopefully going to be able to show folks shortly, that's just been forwarded to me from our affiliate in New Orleans. Basically, this stops, and then there's a quick pause or two, and then a tremendous exchange of gunfire. So the bullet holes that you're seeing on the back of that car could have come from police. They could have come from police firing from the front to the back. They could have been, it's just the picture's not clear enough, could have been shots fired from the back to the front. We are told that investigators are looking into whether or not he was firing as he was driving this vehicle, that he may have been firing a gun while driving the vehicle. That's something they're looking into. We don't have that confirmed. That's going to require, obviously, a lot of work from an evidence standpoint. Clearly, some of that probably based off of eyewitnesses. We'll see if that turns out to be true, but they're at least looking into it. This idea, by the way, of flying an ISIS flag on the back of a pickup truck is something that we've seen before. Sayfullo Saipov, back in October of 2017 on Halloween, drove down the Upper West Side Highway here in New York City and conducted a terrorist attack in the name of ISIS, killing 8, injuring over a dozen. He had talked about, according to court records, the idea of actually flying an ISIS flag from the back of his truck, coincidentally also a rented pickup truck, that from a major retailer. But he talked about doing that, but thought it would attract too much attention and that the NYPD would see that and immediately try to stop him. Obviously, that's something that would certainly grab the attention of law enforcement, frankly, anybody. That flag is kind of ubiquitous in our society. So that is something that we've seen, talked about before, and that is something, obviously, that is of interest. The idea of driving through a crowd in vehicle ramming attacks is something that we've seen over the last decade. It's talked about in almost every single major propaganda that comes out from various terrorist organizations. And as we recently reported on NBC News Now, in a story I believe we talked about, was the idea of how terrorist organizations are now using AI to produce terrorist propaganda because it allows them to be anonymous. You have the face and the voice of it being a computer somewhere instead of being an actual person, makes it more difficult for investigators to try to determine who is behind that propaganda. So this is an evolving landscape, a reminder that as we've been reporting here at NBC News for the past 9 months, the FBI has been especially concerned about the volume of terrorism investigations and attacks and thwarted attacks. There's been a number of them. The Taylor Swift concert in Austria, the FBI and the U.S. is warning to Russian security agencies about what turned out to be a deadly attack at the Crocus concert hall there. There were several other investigations, including an Election Day plot here in the United States that was disrupted, and a plot involving a relative of that suspect in France that was disrupted, as well as a number of potential incidents, not all necessarily tied to terrorism, that were thwarted before the Olympics. It's been an incredibly busy year in this landscape. It is at a tempo that we have not seen before, at least not since 2014, based on the officials that work in this space that I talked to. And so this is very real and has been a real, genuine threat here, I would say, for the past year of this exact type of incident. The big question going forward is, how was it possible, knowing that all the information I just shared with you is information that was public prior to this event, how was it possible that a truck was able to drive down Bourbon Street in the early morning hours on New Year's Eve, when obviously there would be a lot of people out? There are a lot of people out in that street on a Tuesday in August, let alone at this time of the year. And as we saw here in New York City last night, it would not have been possible for this attack to take place. They fill up sanitation trucks with sand, and good luck to anybody trying to get through that. So obviously serious questions will need to be asked of New Orleans authorities. Was it an issue with overtime, and did politicians not allow those type of protections go in? Was it a failure on the police department? Was it a combination of things, like it usually is? Time will tell. Yeah. Tom, before we let you go, can I just ask one question about the victims in all this, the people who've died, the people who are still hurt and in hospitals? Because you said when we came to you that the death toll has risen,
which is the worst news we could imagine. Is this because many of the injuries are very severe and we're finding out that they're passing away at the hospital?
That's exactly right. The injuries here were horrific in nature. We're told, I don't think I need, out of respect to the victims, to get into specific details that we're being told and hearing, but we do expect the next time that we get a briefing from city officials for that death toll to rise. It's not because of any lack of extreme effort by the medical community. It's just injuries are injuries, and when you're hit with a truck at that high rate of speed, and if this idea that he was, in fact, firing out of the truck at that time, obviously that would have added additional problems for the people that were in that crowd. It's something that law enforcement's tracking down. It's horrific, it's horrible, and obviously is going to be continued sad news, not only for the New Orleans community, but given the fact this attracts people from all over the country, we'll have to wait and see if other communities are impacted as well.
Yeah, keeping all those families in our thoughts here, too. Tom Winter for us. Tom, thank you for all the reporting.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.